Hello everyone, this is the weekly market recap and this is Ahmed Saleh. The key messages for this week is four messages. The first one is the market is very resilient. Number two, you should be 100% in even with your margin. Of course, activating your stop loss whenever is needed. Number three, there's still there the risk of the Middle East war. And number four, we are having the result season that's starting next week, so be ready for that. So these are the four key messages for this weekly recap. All right, let's go and start for the last week recap. Last week was actually a very good week. We had all the major indices closing with 1% gain. And this is actually a very good result. Why is that? Because we had the inflation report coming on Wednesday, and the inflation report came at 2.4 versus market expectation of 2.3. So it came higher than the market expectation. But the good news is that it was lower than last month inflation of 2.5. So we were between two things. One good news that it was lower than last month, and one bad news that it's lower than expectation. But what happened on that day? The market went down, and then it was a very resilient market. It stopped going down, and actually it reversed and went up and scored an all-time high again. So there are two all-time high scored last week. One before the inflation report and one after the inflation report. Two all-time high in 1 week. This is a very good news. And to close with 1% gain on all the indices, this is a very good news. With the inflation report is very good news. And that's why I'm saying we should be 100% in. We are at all-time high in the S&P. Nasdaq is very close to the all-time high. Russell 2000 is doing very well last week. So we should be all in. We should not be afraid of the all-time high. We should be all in, even with the margin. And you can mitigate against the risk via the stop loss. If for anything there is a market correction, you can mitigate against that with the stop loss that you have. Okay, so this is about the market. Also, there is one comment that I want to say, which is about the probabilities of the Fed cutting rate. So when the inflation report came out, actually the market reacted positively to the fact that it was lower than last month and neglected that it was higher than the expectation. How do we know that? We will see that now there is a 90% chance of the Fed cutting rate with 0.25% and only 10% chance that it stays the same. This before the inflation report, this was 2080. So 20 for the rates staying the same, and 84 the rates are going to be cut by 0.25%. Okay, so when the inflation when the inflation report came, we saw that actually the percentage of the people that are saying that no, the Fed is going to reduce the rate, it went higher from 80% to 90%. And that gives us the indication that market is looking now to the fact that the inflation came lower than last month, and they are disregarding the fact that it was worse than the expectation. Bottom line, it was better. Bottom line, inflation is going down. And bottom line, there is now 100% probability or 90% probability that the Fed will cut rate with 0.25 in November meeting. Okay, so that's a very important point that I say it's worth highlighting. All right. Okay, so what do we expect next week? Actually, next week is the start of the seasons of the results. So we have a lot of companies that are going to announce results next week, and it's gonna be like the key test for the companies that were going up and causing the index to have an all-time high last week. This is gonna be a true test whether the results are going to be good and beating expectation or not. So watch out if you are investing in a company, watch out for the results. I normally don't like to stay in the company when they announce results because anything can happen. So if I am profitable, I take my profit and go up. If the company is stable, maybe I stay in. But if I am profitable, I take my profit and go out before the results. Okay. Watch out for the Middle East war. There was an important call between Biden and the Minister of Israel, and maybe they agreed on something. We don't know. We will see that in the coming week. So watch out for this. This can turn things around. And of course, we have the US election. So all the preparation for US election and the debates are going on. So this can have also an impact. I expect to be positive impact in all cases. Like if Harris win or Trump win, it should be positive news for the stock market. Of course, Trump has is better for the stock market because he's a businessman. Everyone is looking for him. We had a great time when he was a president in the stock market. So maybe it will repeat again. That's why if he got elected, it will be a better news for the stock market versus Harris. But also if Harris win, then it's still a good news because she's gonna do something to motivate the economy and make it even go higher and higher. Okay, so this is what do we expect in the next week. Finally, on the Chinese stock, it was a bad week for the Chinese stock. So we can see that the ETFs went down by 9 and 7%, which means that most of the companies went down like higher than that. This will be the average. Now, we have to know that whatever goes up has to come down, especially if it went up so fast. Like we saw that in the week one, there was like almost an average of 30%. Week two, almost an average of like 10%. So it has to correct, and that's what happened last week. There is a correction, but I highlighted here in green the stocks that had the lowest correction. Actually, one of them even went higher, XBEV. It went higher by 1%. Why I'm highlighting these stocks? Because it tell us that these stocks are resilient, and they are stronger than the rest of the stocks. So these are the ones that we should focus on. They didn't go down as much as the other stocks, and actually in week one and week two they were like very much in green. Okay, so let's watch closely XBEV, BABA, TCOM, BIDU, and BDD. There was a news conference by the Ministry of Economy in China in the weekend. Let's see how this will reflect. I read some reports that it wasn't as expected, so they still need to get some approval from the parliament. The fund is not as big as the market was expecting, so maybe it will not be a good news on next week. So let's see if these companies will perform well or not. I am out of the Chinese stock. I have very little position there, not exceeding 5% of my total portfolio. I'm ready to liquidate this if next week is negative. But if next week is positive for the Chinese stock market, maybe I'll go in again. All right. So this is all for the recap of the week. Now I'm doing a training that's starting next Saturday, the 19th of October. And if you want to know, like, how do I select stocks? How do I read the market? How do I know the market trend is going up or going down? And how do I set my stop loss? How do I do the stock screening? What strategy I'm using? All this is, I'm going to discuss all this in the training. The training is 3 Saturday. Each Saturday is 3 to 4 hours. Okay, it's a very heavy training. Okay, if you want to become a trader, I know there is a lot of programs in the market that will tell you can become a trader in 1-2 hours. I don't believe in all this, with all my respect to them. I think you need much more. The training is about 10 hours, 10 plus hours, and we will hardly finish all things that need to be said during these 10 plus hours. So if you see a training outside to become a trader with 1 2 hour, you have to be skeptical about that. Okay, so this training is starting in 19th, and then we'll have another session on October 26th and session on November 2nd. They are like building on each other. It's not like we are repeating things, they are building on each other. So you need all these 3 sessions. Okay, and if you divide the cost, it's 300, even if you are not living in Egypt, it's $300 per 10 hours, that's $30 per hour. If you divide it for Egyptian who is living in Egypt, I'm making a special price and special discount for this, is gonna be like almost like $15 per hour, which is like I would say very little. Okay, so that's the training. If you want to register, you can contact me through the email or through the WhatsApp. This is the last time that we will have these prices. These prices are special now just for the startup, but later on there will be a price increase on that, and there are very few limited places in the training, because I keep the number limited so we can benefit more. If the number is too big, then it is like the benefit per trainee is not that good. So I'll keep the number limited, and that's why there are very few spots left. And if you want to become a trader, you are more than welcome to join this training. All right. Thank you very much, and have a profitable trade.